Item number 6 is discussion of construction of permanent restroom facilities at Navarre Park. Mr. Walker, if you would, please.
Mr. Chairman, this is the matter that came up at the last meeting, and as had been directed by the board, it was referred to Mr. Gomillion and Ms. Royals in the building inspection department. They're here and certainly can speak to it. You see in your packet Mr. Gomillion's memo to me regarding their review of the plans that were submitted in the specs. You do note that we noted that we do have to we're required to do commercial level construction when we do. It needs to be sealed by an architect or an engineer. I think one of the things that this particular proposal had included wood construction, for example. Yeah. Our recommendation would be, obviously, given the maintenance issues, would be some kind of concrete or some kind of tile. Sure. Ability to wash this out.
We can do the concrete construction and then put a facade on it that makes it look however you want the exterior to look.
Want it to look
so
like
that's an easy to fix item there.
Tony, you may want to speak to the specifics, the items that we.
Well, I think you covered. I mean, from the previous conversations prior to this recent thing that was brought up relative to the volunteer effort, it was the concrete. I think that was one of the main things we heard from those that do the maintenance on the building and so forth, was the need for it to be a concrete construction, and as well as it being in or near the floodplain and the potential for flooding. The other items, I think, that as I noted in my memo, it would just be to, I know the board was looking to establish a budget for that, and we had done, although we don't have an estimator in our office, we had done the best possible with building a maintenance assistance to develop a material cost for such a project. That information was included, and then there are a number of other issues that you would need to address as you go forward in the overall plan relative to the siding of the building, the utilities, availability, that sort of thing. I don't know all those details, so I'm assuming you're going to refer that back to staff to kind of go in some direction to develop an overall plan. Obviously, what Mr. Dabney submitted the other day was a floor plan, if you will, and that's not a complete. There's a lot of back to provide a complete set of plans. So, and Ms. Royals mentioned all those items that sort of are included in that. So there's a lot of depth that's got to be developed to have a project. There
is, but this is a fantastic starting point, and it's a great community effort. And Mr. Dabney also supported a takeoff of bill of materials provided by Southern Pipe and Supply, and there was a legal question as to whether or not we could go with that or whether or not we had to put it out for bids, and I don't guess we have an answer to that yet, but yes, sir. No, I'm speaking to Mr. Andrews.
Not for me yet.
I'm sorry, say it again.
Said not yet, no.
I still didn't understand.
Not yet.
Not yet, okay. All right. Well, understand, but yeah, we can make this work. There'll be things that we need to tweak. It's badly needed. It's 100% supported by the community, and it's a fantastic effort. Santa Rosa County will gain by this community effort. Yeah, I saw him. Commissioner Lyncher, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just, I agree with Mr. Gomillion. I think we should refer it back to staff to continue to develop the specs. The specs that staff has come up with in the bid, a lot more substantial than what was proposed, you know, and I think it's the right direction. You know, the bathrooms that we need down there are the ones that you can go in with a pressure sprayer and hose out, and you can't do that with stick-built, you know, mason or sheetrock walls and things like that. So it needs to be a concrete block or CMU building that's going to be resistant to the flooding that hopefully won't come, but one day may.
And
So-
we can accomplish that through tiling and other things, so it doesn't have to look like a concrete block.
Yeah,
you know.
you can make it look however you want. It's just the bones are
Yeah.
going to be concrete. You can put whatever face on it you want.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am?
I'm glad to hear that you're talking about doing something with the facade, because we don't want just a concrete building out there. That would be ugly. It needs to go in with the aesthetic that we have achieved with the Visitor Information Center. So if it could match that type of look, that would be fantastic.
Sure, we can do that and still meet our requirements for having a concrete building and making it nice, something that you can get in there and pressure wash, but it's, it's tiled up, so that's
'Cause
completely doable.
This is the gateway to the beach, and so we need to
Sure.
have it looking good.
It's
Thank you.
completely doable. Yes, ma'am. Sandra, you have to turn the light on. See the
Okay.
red light? There you go.
I'm good now.
There you
Okay.
go.
Sandra Horton, 1852 Falling Leaves Court. Are we still on our timeline? Was the timeline now before the Butterfly House opened, or are we still trying to get that done before then, as the last meeting specified?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand your question. Would you,
The timeframe to have this completed?
talking about this line item, we're talking about the bathrooms?
Yes, sir, the
Yeah,
bathrooms.
no, we don't have a timeline yet to
Okay.
no later
I
than,
think
no.
that what he was,
We had put out some goals, and I think we're going to try to keep staff to those. I mean, there are going to be a lot of moving parts, and they're going to have to work with the outside people who are involved. But yes, this is a priority, I think, for every member of this
Okay.
board, and we're going to keep staff moving forward. Try to keep working with our community partners and get this done as quickly as possible. But again, we're going to build it to the specs that we need for ease of maintenance and long-term.
Okay, and that's great, because I know the last meeting, we were talking about a goal, I guess would have been the proper phrase, a goal of by the time the Butterfly House opened up next, 2015.
That would be nice. We're imposing on Mr. Dabney. The public doesn't do it deliberately, but that's the way it works out. Nobody wants to use a portalet. He's got a very nice restaurant with facilities, and he very generously just tolerates it, but we're really imposing on him. So from that aspect, we understand that there's an urgency to it, but better done right than fast. So we're going to get it done correctly.
I just hope that we're not talking about 3 years from now.
No, no.
So,
No,
okay,
no, no, no,
okay.
no.
Well, I'm used to government deadlines, so that's why I pressed
Yeah,
that.
no,
Thank you.
We're just trying to keep the ball moving. Commissioner Cole.
Okay,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I spoke to James this morning, and he's going to be here Thursday. His concern is, of course, block construction will take longer and finding more volunteers, and was talking about, possibly using Dura-Rock on the inside and tiling it, so it'd still have the convenience of being able to clean it easily. So so I'm looking forward to him addressing that on Thursday. So.
Right, I thought he'd be here today. He had told me that, so.
He talked to me earlier and asked if he should be here today, and I told him let's get through today and talk about it again Thursday, so he didn't have to spend 2 days of his time up here. But that was the main concern. There's, right in the county wanting to take our time and get this done right and make it last a long time, but there's also techniques that I think would be as equivalent in construction and being able to keep it clean too. So.
Right, okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Let me interject real quick. You said James will be here Thursday. I want to remind everyone, and we should have done it at the outset of the meeting, Thursday's meeting will be in the Tiger Point Community Center.
Thank you very much. Yeah, that was saving the trip. Yes, ma'am.
That's great, thank you. Ira Mae Bruce again. I wanted to ask a question having to do with the restrooms and the walkover. There was a whole crew of people showed up in front of my business this week surveying. And I asked them what they were surveying for, and they said they were surveying for the walkover. Well, we're going to have a little issue there, but one of the issues that might be minor with the walkover is where the bathrooms are located. If the walkover is moving that fast, or if they're just trying to decide what to do, I don't know. Commissioner Melvin, you were involved in that. What time frame? Because the property that they're looking at is my property.
I understand. They've published a schedule, the right-of-way acquisition, et cetera. I have requested, and I don't know how far it's gone through FDOT, that they look at elevator towers and eliminate that huge ADA dictated switchback that is takes a bigger footprint and is more expensive than just building 2 freight elevator towers, one on each end holding up the walkover. So that's what they're surveying for, that we are in the right-of-way acquisition phase now. Construction is 2 calendar years away.
Okay. The issue I have is that the parking that we've offered, we may not be able to offer if we have a lot of construction for that on our property. The parking has always been the hung-up issue when I've talked to other people before about the walkovers, that there's got to be property has to be purchased or rented for the parking during those periods. Right now, they just park everywhere.
You're talking about for community events?
For the community events. The last time they had something, it wasn't on my property, we thought it was, but they ran over the bank's water meter, and they had several thousand gallons of water was gone. They didn't even know where the water meter was. It really, they had the water meter on my property, so.
Well, if you don't mind, I know you took out your time to get here, but this is totally off the subject of the bathrooms for Navarre, which is.
Well, that's the only thing. I just want, when the bathrooms are done, we need to look at where the walkway is. That was my point.
Yes, ma'am. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, all right. Thank you. Would you turn that back out, or we get feedback if that's left on? There you go. Thank you very much. Okay. I'm not sure we need to move this to Thursday. It's a discussion item. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think to keep it moving and to meet the deadline, because I do think it's important that we certainly have it done by the splash pad opening, which I think is.
Well, we'll move it to Thursday for an update so that the staff can keep us abreast of what's going on.
Meet a design professional somewhere. I know that Mr. Dabney and that group wants to be involved.
He's committed verbally to several people, me among them, that he was going to, we needed raised imprint plans. We get raised imprint plans. So, and he's pretty dynamic fellow. So we'll see what happens Thursday. I recommend we move this to Thursday without objection. Hearing none, it passes. Item number 7.